Hi folks, book haul time once again, and I have been profligate and impatient, and I have a shit ton of books to show you. I'm actually going to split it into two hauls. The first half will be books that I've bought online, for the most part, a few that I found on my road trip in Yorkshire last weekend, and two or three that people have very kindly sent to me, which is always very welcome. So let us start with, and then the other haul, which will be in a week or two's time, is all of the other books, and they're mostly vintage paperbacks that I bought whilst in Yorkshire in various charity and used bookshops, and it was quite a bumper crop. Anyway, back to this haul. So I have been looking for a hardback of this Greg Bear, The Infinity Concerto. A couple of months back, I bought what I thought was a hardback because it was listed as a hardback. It arrived as a paperback. I complained and got my money back. And then, like an absolute idiot, I did the same thing again. World of Books again, who've proven to be patchy at best from an accuracy point of view. It was listed as a hardcover. It had the ISBN number of a hardcover, but it arrived as a paperback. The clue probably should have been that it was only £3 something. I should have known better. But on the plus side, it is in very nice condition. It's a Legend paperback from the 1980s, I imagine. I actually don't know when. Yeah, 88. So first edition paperback. I really like the cover art, and it's not barely creased on the spine, and certainly not spine faded, and it's generally speaking in good condition. And so I doubled down and was foolish not once but twice because I thought I'd ordered this in a hardback, and it was listed as a hardback, same as the other one, but arrived as a paperback. So I had a terse exchange of words with World of Books customer service. They initially tried the the image doesn't necessarily reflect the book that you get. I was like, I know that. That's why I never pay any attention to the image. That's why I always look at the ISBN number. You've listed it incorrectly. A basic function of a shop is to just correctly describe, particularly an online shop, is to correctly describe the product for sale. It's your mistake. Give me my money back. And they did, to be fair, second time round. So I got my money back for both. So what I don't have is the hardbacks. But what I do have is two very nice Legend editions of the two books. I'll have to get over my disappointment. And then I got, these were in, I think, an Amnesty International charity bookshop. It was the first time I've been in one of those. And it was actually the best haul whilst I was in Yorkshire. But I've included them here because these are recent books and very much not vintage. So this is R.W.W. Green, 25 to 5. I think this is from 2021 or 2. Let's have a look. 21. And this is Julie's best friend just left on a generation ship to Proxima Centauri, leaving Julie and 9 billion others to die slowly on the Earth's a little fly. It's really annoying me. Leaving Julie and 9 billion others to die slowly on Earth. Now overeducated and underemployed, Julie faces the prospect of spending the rest of her life in VR, ignoring the dying world around her. So this is a road trip novel that starts at the end of the world. Green apparently creates an all-too-realistic world filled with very real people. A tale of growing up and what it means to be an adult. This one is not to be missed. So I think it's like a van life thing. And then another one, also by R.W.W. Green, Mercury Rising. So this is a sort of alternative history, I think. The year is 1975. Robert Oppenheimer has invented the atomic engine. The first humans walked on the moon, and Jet Carson and the Eagle 7 have sacrificed their lives to fucking fly. Go away. Like Mr. Miyagi on The Karate Kid. Yes, and Jet Carson and the Eagle 7 have sacrificed their lives to stop alien invaders. Brooklyn, however, just wants to keep his head down, pay his mother's rent, and earn a little scratch of his own, and maybe get laid sometime. Don't we all? Simple pleasures. But life is about to get real complicated when a killer with a baseball bat and a mysterious box of 8-track tapes sets him up for a murder, etc., etc., etc. So I don't know what type of thing that is. Like a X-Files type thing, I think. Mercury Rising and 25 to 5 by R.W.W. Green. If nothing else, they're quite nice copies and they're in good condition. And then I debated a little while whether I should buy these or not, and I decided that I would because they just looked like bonkers fun. And I do like an alternative history. So I bought World War, Striking the Balance by Harry Turtledove. So as you can tell from the cover, this involves, and this is what really piqued my interest, it involves aliens with freaking lasers and and Spitfires. So at some point in World War II, I forget exactly when, there's an alien invasion, and that shakes things up clearly, and humanity has to kind of get over their differences and join up to fight the lizard people with the lasers. And I also have Tilting the Balance. I think this is the second, and this is the fourth, I think. Let me just check. I know you're fascinated to know. Yeah, I think Striking the Balance is the final one, and Tilting the Balance is the second one. So the first one is In the Balance, I think, and then there's a Tilting the Balance. The whole balance thing going on. Yeah, In the Balance is the first one. Tilting the Balance is the second one. Upsetting the Balance is the third one, and this is the fourth one, Striking the Balance. You can get these. They're in. I mean, I quite like the covers. They're very jolly and quite fun, pretty silly. They are in very nice condition, and you can pick them up online. I've looked, of course, I have, for a few quid. So at some point, when the mood takes me, I feel now obliged to get books 1 and 3 to complete the set. And I gather there's a follow-on trilogy and another kind of couple after that. So there's like 9 of them or something in total, which might be a step too far. But I quite like the idea of them. And I've never read any Harry Turtledove. And then next I have a couple of books which were sent to me very kindly by Whitney of Houston, who I amuse myself and my family by calling Whitney Houston, who runs the Secret Source of Storycraft YouTube channel, which focuses on science fiction. If you haven't watched that, you should give it a try. I'll put the link to the channel in the description. And she very kindly sent me off my Amazon wish list Generation Ship by, what's his name, Michael Mamet, which, as the name suggests, strongly is about a generation ship. Who knew? And she also sent me Sea of Rust by C. Robert Cargill, which is a sort of robot post-apocalypse coming-of-age type thing, I think. Let's have a look. So, Generation Ship. In 2018, colony ship Voyager departed Earth. Oh, sorry, 2108, not 2018. That would have been a bit ambitious. 2108. Colony ship Voyager departed Earth for the planet of Promiser with 18,000 of the world's best and brightest on board. 250 years and 27 light years later, an arrival is imminent, but all is not well. The probes they sent ahead to gather the data needed to establish any kind of settlement aren't responding, and the information they have received has presented more questions than answers. It's a time when the entire crew should be coming together to solve the problem, but Science Officer Sheila Jackson can't get people to listen, etc., etc., etc. Sort of draconian rules. Blah, 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 blah. This is political science fiction done right, apparently. Cleverly written, topical and compelling, with a relatable cast of diverse characters, deeply personal stakes, and twisty plot elements that will keep you on your toes. So he's written a bunch of other things as well, I think. And this is a recent novel from, I don't know what, last year before? Let us see. 2023, so last year, yeah. I like a Generation Ship tale, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much, Whitney. And then Sea of Rust. Humankind is extinct. The robots killed us all. Liquidated in a global uprising by the very machines made to serve them. Now the world is controlled by one-world intelligences that have assimilated the minds of millions of robots. So a little bit like culture minds, I guess. But not all robots are willing to cede their individualities, and Brittle is one of the holdouts. After a near deadly encounter with another AI, Brittle is forced to seek sanctuary in a city under siege by an OWI. Critically damaged, Brittle has to evade capture long enough to find the essential rare parts to make repairs. But as the robot's CPU deteriorates, all their old memories resurface, and for Brittle, that means one memory in particular. So it's an action-packed post-apocalyptic thriller with a difference that also addresses issues of soul and sentience in a subtle and yet profound way. A stone-cold stunner of a story, apparently. So those popped onto my doormat the other day. Thank you very much again, Whitney, you're a legend. I really appreciate it. On the subject of people sending me books unsolicited, I have received this, which is called Drowning Earth by Sean Wilson, who has self-published this book. So he kickstarted the hardback, and it's a pretty nice edition, I must say. Quite a nice cover, and then it's a glossy boards with a cool image on the front and the back. and somewhere in there it's signed by Sean as well, which is nice. And it came with, where is it here? It came with a little medallion thing, which seems to have like an alliance. It implies an alliance. I don't quite know what the context for that is, but it's got Australian, African, European Union, and United States flags. I don't know where the UK is because we're not in the EU anymore. A bit unfortunate. And on the other side, it's got Silent Ocean Sentinel, HMS Bancroft, which strongly implies a Royal Navy. So I don't know if it's HMS in the context of His Majesty's ship, which all Royal Navy ships are prefixed by, or what. But let's see. So it's 2055 with global tensions nearing the breaking point. Humanity teeters on the brink of annihilation. Their only hope lies with Captain Kel Williams and her loyal team crewing what some call the deadliest submarine ever built. So there's a whole that looks like a whale, but it's in fact a cool futuristic submarine. Kel races to stake a claim to valuable undersea biomass, a lifeline that could prolong humanity's demise, but deadly Russo-Chinese factions lurk in their lightless depths, determined to stop her at every turn. Besieged by threats within and without, Kel finds herself walking a razor's edge to maintain control. Surrounded on all sides, she relies on her crew's dedication and her bull nuke Oscar Allen to maintain order and avert disaster. I don't know what a bull nuke is. I'm not sure. Yet unbeknownst to all, salvation may lie in the secrets lurking deep beneath the waves. Hidden truths once dismissed as myth. Whispers of impossible doorways and gods long forgotten. With danger at every turn, will anyone escape the deadly snare, or do ancient myths hold the key to humanity's survival? So I think I plugged this on my channel a few weeks back when Sean dropped me an email. It's got distinct tones of on a Harrington, but underwater, not in space. And I am intrigued to know why the ship is called the HMS Bancroft. I'm sure he explains that. But anyway, it's as self-published books go, it's very nice. And I think with the boost of the Ujima Flip, the Kickstarter campaign, it will have got a decent treatment. So it's a solid book. Thank you, Sean. It's easy to be a bit sniffy about self-published books on the basis that fucking anyone can self-publish a book. But you have to have the gumption to write it in the first place, and you have to have the courage to get it self-published and put it out there and ask idiots like me to talk about it on their social media, YouTube, blah. So I am happy to support that. I might read it at some point, Sean, I can't promise, but it certainly is a nice addition to my shelves. And I think it's important to remember that quite a few of what today would be considered very established authors started down that self-published route, more often in fantasy, I think, than science fiction, but still, it shows it's viable. If they make enough sales, then they will become actual published as opposed to self-published, if that's the thing. Okay, so moving on to books that I bought online. Over the last month or two, I've been trying to fill out my Paul Macaulay collection. So this is Gardens of the Sun. It's a hardback, as you can see. It is the second of the Quiet War series. I think there were 4 in total. And on first glance, it looks a bit crappy. It's an ex-library book. But actually, I think it's the external kind of mylar cover, which is in a bit of a shit state. The cover itself, the dust jacket underneath, actually looks like it's in pretty nice condition. So I might actually remove. I won't get around to it, but in theory, I could remove the dust jacket cover, the mylar cover, and I think it would look a bit neater. It is an ex-library book, so it's got a borrowing slip in it. This was borrowed a bunch of times, actually. It's unusual. Quite often as they withdraw a book, it's because it's never been used, but otherwise it's kind of unblemished. It's got that borrowing slip on the front and a stamp or two at the back, but otherwise it's in good nick. So I think I now have. I'm missing the first one, The Quiet War, so that's the one that I need. I'll look out for it. And then I was looking for an entirely different Charles Stross book, but I ended up with this one, Glass House, for reasons that I don't actually remember now. I was looking for a decent first edition in the US. I think is it Ace? I think it might be a hardback of Accelerando, which is the world first, and you can find it, but they're mostly listed as possible ex-library, and I'd rather not have a library copy as they can be a bit flaky condition-wise. I'd rather have one that was, just not sold or has been looked after. So I haven't yet got an Accelerando, but I do have this Glasshouse, which is Accelerando is so what's on the back is praise for Accelerando, which is a different book entirely. When people ask me what I did during the war, I tell them I used to be in a tank regiment, or maybe it was a counter-intelligence agent. I'm not exactly sure. My memory isn't what it used to be. When Robin wakes up in a clinic with most of his memories missing, it doesn't take him long to discover that someone is trying to kill him. Maybe Batman. It's the 27th century when interstellar travellers by teleport gate and conflicts are fought by network worms that censor refugees' personalities and target historians. The Civil War is over and Robin has been demobilised, but someone wants him out of the picture because of something his earlier self knew, etc., etc. It's kind of a chase thing, I think, with a bit of sort of cyberpunk overtones. I've read quite a bit of Charles Stross's work. I really like it. And then, whilst I was looking at... what was I doing? Whilst I was looking at the best science fiction of last year, 2023, according to a reader poll of Goodreads users, so you take with that what you will, there weren't very many of those that I liked the sound of, maybe a couple. And actually one wasn't even on that list. It was by an author that was on that list. So I got this for a couple of quid online, The Passage by, what's his name? Justin Cronin. So he's the author of The Ferryman, which was the book that was on that list, which I also quite like the sound of. But I like the sound of this more. So this is a zombie type thing, I think. Deep in the jungles of eastern Colombia, Professor Jonas Lear has finally found what he's been searching for and wishes to God he hadn't. In Memphis, Tennessee, a 6-year-old girl called Amy is left at the convent of the Sisters of Mercy and wonders why her mother has abandoned her. Bound together in ways they cannot comprehend, for each of them, a door is about to open into a future they could not have imagined, and a journey is about to begin. An epic journey that will take them through a world transformed by man's darkest dreams to the very heart of what it means to be human. So I'm getting sort of Walking Dead vibes from this. There are another 2 books in this series. It's a trilogy, and it's pretty chunky. If I can look, I don't know how many pages that is. 700 and getting on for 800 pages. 760 maybe, yeah. So it's pretty chunky. I don't suppose it's terribly intellectually stimulating. Well, what am I saying? I doubt that it's a difficult read. I suspect it moves along quite nicely. I don't know if I would call it science fiction as such, but it's got zombies, and I'm always up for zombies. Definitely science fiction. This is Carl Sagan's Contact. You've probably all seen the movie. I've never actually read the book. I do have it in paperback, which I can now jettison. So this is a book club edition, Guild Publishing from the 80s. I don't normally buy book club editions, usually because they're like smaller than the original. But this is a full on. I don't know if it's royal, but it's certainly a biggish size paperback, hardback, obviously. And it was first published in 1986, and so was this edition. So it's printed rather by Guild Publishing, basically the same year as the original published hardback by Century Hutchinson. And it's a really nice edition. So I for £2.50, can't really complain. So I grabbed that and very happy to have that on my shelves. That came from a charity shop, I think. And then I also found, I think in the same charity shop, Platinum Pole. So this is a collection of Frederick Pohl's short stories, and it's a nice format. Apparently these are the best stories that Frederick Pohl wrote. Platinum Pole is the first comprehensive compilation of Frederick Pohl's best short story fiction. These 30 stories, nearly 250,000 words of science fiction, spanning 6 decades of his career, reflect Pohl's evolving sensibility and thematic concerns in a dazzling array of 20th century realities, seen through the lens of possible futures. Well, that was a long sentence. So I don't know what's in here. See if there's any I recognise. Don't think so. There's, I don't know, 20 odd, maybe a bit more short stories in there. Frederick Pohl, nice collection, can't go wrong. £2. And then there were a couple of Stephen King. So I don't go out of my way to find Stephen King's, with the exception of the Dark Tower series, which I really love to have a full set of. But if I see them and in hardback and they're in good condition, especially if there's any kind of science fiction overtone to them, although as you'll see from the next one, I'm not fussy. If I see a Stephen King in good condition, then particularly if it's not an especially recent one, then I'll buy it for £2.50. Why not? So that's Cell, which is the one where everyone goes crazy when their cell phones send them a signal, sort of a zombie type thing, I think, if I remember rightly. And then I also found The Dark Half, again, £2.50 in really nice condition. So that's a bit self-referential. The main character is a horror author, and he ends up being attacked by one of his characters, if I remember rightly. So it's a bit meta, if you like, but pretty good. And then in my local Oxfam bookshop, the one in Woodley that I frequently go to, last time I went there, I came out with like 5 or 6. It was a bit slim pickings, but I found a couple of Tim Powers books. So this one is Dinner at Deviant's Palace, which is a sort of post-apocalyptic thing set in Los Angeles. A generation after the bombs wiped out LA, along with most of the rest of the world. Survivors, so it wasn't just LA, LA wasn't singled out. Survivors have trickled back to set up life in the ruins. Times are hard, people take whatever solace they can from each other, from new drugs, from perversions only whispered about in the infamous private club called Deviant's Palace. Some turn to the mysterious religious cult formed by Norton J. Bush. And once again, once they're taken into that group, no one is ever seen again, etc., etc. So... and there is a Ferrari being pulled by a team of horses, suitably post-apocalyptic. And then the Tim Powers I was actually looking for, which I passed up a couple of times and people kept nagging me to buy it because it's good, is The Anubis Gates by the same guy, Tim Powers. So The Anubis Gates is a yarn, an adventure novel convulsed by chases and explosions, a skirmish on a burning ice schooner and swashbuckling in Cairo. It's also an impressively intricate time travel conundrum embossed with classic knotty paradoxes. I do like a timey-wimey book. It is a supernatural thriller, a literary mystery, a horror story. It tops off a catastrophe of necromancy and ruin with a divine intervention. There's a lot going on. Plotted with manic fervour and executed with exhilarating dexterity at breakneck speed. So that sounds like fun. And what else have we got here? Greg Bear. I first read this as Cyclone, which I thought was a bit of a stupid name, but I've realised that obviously it's Cyclone, play on words, starting with psych like psychology or psychopath, Cyclone. And this is Greg Bear's Cyclone, a Holocaust of Terror, apparently. A man-made abomination is loosed upon the world. A man freezes solid, and when he topples, his living body shatters like glass. The ground is suddenly scorched and pitted as if some angry god has blitzkrieged the landscape. The inhabitants of a New Mexico town are destroyed in seconds by an obscene elemental force, and this is only the beginning. And in this particular tornado, there is a ghost with horror tail teeth. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. Sort of a localized end of the world thing, I think. So that's in the Victor Gollancz SF, the VGSF. Very nice condition. And then what else have we got? So I'm continuing my Adam Roberts buying spree, and I have got to the extent that I've even bought one that isn't even remotely science fiction. So this one is called The Black Prince, and it was a novel that Roberts has written, which is based on a screenplay that somebody, who was it? Anthony Burgess wrote some time back. And it is a sort of medieval... Yeah, so the note on the end flap here is a quote from Anthony Burgess. I'm working on a novel intended to express the feel of England in Edward III's time. The 14th century of my novel will be mainly evoked in terms of smell and visceral feelings, and it will carry an undertone of general disgust rather than hey nonny nonny nostalgia. So The Black Prince is a brutal historical tale of chivalry, religious belief, obsession, siege and bloody warfare. From disorienting depictions of medieval battles to court intrigues and betrayals, the campaigns of Edward III, The Black Prince, are brought to vivid life. This rambunctious novel, based on a completed screenplay and the notes for an unfinished novel by Anthony Burgess and approved by the Burgess estate, showcases Adam Roberts in complete control of the novel as a way of making us look at history with fresh eyes, all the while staying true to the linguistic pyrotechnics and narrative verve of Burgess's best work. So Anthony Burgess, of course, wrote the screenplay to A Clockwork Orange, amongst other things, as well as the original novel, A Clockwork Orange, of course. So that is it's an ex-library book, and look at that, nobody borrowed it. How sad. So I will be the first person to read this, I think. So it's not science fiction, but I do like a historical novel from time to time. But back in the world of sci-fi, SF, I got Land of the Headless, which Steve Andrews over at Outlaw Bookseller has been waxing lyrical about recently. This is a story of religious extremism, and the basic premise of this is it's on a planet, part of some future human colonization, where society is shaped by strict adherence to the word of God, as laid out in the Old Testament and the Biblical Quran. So it's like a mashup of Islamist extremism and fundamentalist Christian religion as well, just to add to the fun. Anyway, a poet is accused of adultery. Found guilty, he must face the punishment that laid down in the good book, beheading. Beheaded, which would normally be the end of the story, he is fitted with a neck valve, an ordinator, and basic sensor equipment and sent out into the world. So the ordinator, I think, is basically his brain is downloaded into this thing that's strapped onto his back and sent out into the world. But because he bears a terrible and very visible stigma, he's got no fucking head, the only way that he can make a living is to join the army and serve in the war against the neighbouring planet and plan his revenge against the man he believes is really guilty. Can he survive the savage realities of a high-tech war and make it back home to see justice done? But what really happened to the woman? Can we believe his story? Can he? Land of the Headless is a searing and supremely timely satire of religious fundamentalism, a novel of love and war and a study of self-delusion. It is an elegantly written and thought-provoking and unique SF novel, apparently. So it is in good condition. I got it on World of Books. It cost me £5 or £6, I think, but there is a small tear. I don't know if you can see that in the cover there, which I'll have to tape up to stop it getting any worse. I think that brings my total of Adam Roberts books to 15. And I'm still missing about 5 or 6 from his back catalogue that I'd like to get. Talking of things that I was missing from back catalogues that I would like to have got, I found House of Suns by Alistair Reynolds in the hardback. It's normally a little bit hard to get, and I was sort of I browse occasionally on World of Books looking to see if it's there, and it was. And normally expect to pay like £10 or £12 for it if you find it. This was £4 something, £4.50, £4.60, something like that. It's in really nice condition. It was described as very good. I would say it's near fine, really. There's nothing wrong with it. The spine is in good nick. There's a tiny bit of lean, maybe, but the text block is in good condition. The dust jacket's in good condition. It's not a library book. Pages are still bright. And this, I have read it, but many years ago, and the thing that I vaguely recall about it is the relativistic effects of travelling fast, and the fact that there's a space battle which takes place over thousands of years because of the speed that the ships are travelling, something like that. It's a standalone, a singleton novel, one of his better ones. I remember enjoying it, but I couldn't tell you much more than I just have about the plot. So I need to read it again. Very happy to have that. And sticking with Mr. Reynolds, a slightly different beast. A couple of weeks back, I got this one in a charity shop, Bone Silence, which is the second, I think, of the. Maybe it's the third of the. I think it's the third of the Revenger trilogy, which I do have it in paperback. And so I was, having got that, looking to see if I could find the others. So this is Shadow Captain in hardback. I think it's an ex-library book, yeah. And once again, the mylar cover on the outside is a bit beaten up, but the dust jacket underneath actually looks like it's in fine condition. So I will probably remove. Once again, I could remove, whether I will or not, sort of thing, the mylar cover, and reveal the glory of the bear jacket. So happy to have that. And then I went on a bit of a Ken MacLeod spree. I was looking on World of Books, and I thought I'd just search for Ken MacLeod and see what they've got on hardback. I like the cut of his jib. So I got Intrusion, which is a sort of a pharmacology type thing. Imagine a near future London where advances in medical science have led to the development of a single dose pill which taken when pregnant eradicates many common genetic defects from an unborn baby. Hope Morrison, mother of a hyperactive 4-year-old, is expecting her second child, and she refuses to take the fix, as the pill is now known. Her refusal divides her family and friends and puts her and her husband in danger of imprisonment or worse. Is Hope's decision a private matter of individual choice, or, and this is presumably the reason that she might be imprisoned, or is it tantamount to willful neglect of her unborn child? Intrusion is a plausible and original novel with sinister echoes of 1984 and Brave New World, so it would certainly be keeping good company if that was the case. So this is one of his more recent books. It was, well, it's not that recent, more recent than some. 2012 this came out, and again, it's a little bit dinged up on the bottom of the DJ there, but otherwise it's in good nick. And then I got the Cosmonaut Keep trilogy, again in hardback, quite nice. And these date back to, I think, 2000, the first one. So Cosmonaut Keep, the Engines of Light trilogy is in fact what it's called, the first book of which is Cosmonaut Keep. So this came out after his 4 Star Fraction books, which do have a name which also escapes me. So one of his earlier works, published in the year 2000. So this is a kind of space opera type gig. Near future political intrigue spirals around space opera on a truly epic scale in Cosmonaut Keep, a sensational new novel from the most exciting science fiction writer to have emerged in recent years, apparently. After the Ural-Caspian oil war, the Russians quit stalling. Their troops reached the Atlantic, their cosmonauts reached the asteroids, and now they're claiming first contact. Matt Cairns knows they're being economical with the truth, but even he doesn't know what's really out there. Thousands of light years from Earth, human colonists have learned to live among other intelligent species, and for Gregor and his fellow students of marine biology, the arrival of interstellar merchant ships sets their research on a new course, where an alien past encounters a future human future at the speed of light. It sounds like the Russians are not on their uppers and are leading the charge for deep space, and that is the second one, Dark Light. They've got quite lovely covers actually, and this is the third one, Engine City. Ken MacLeod is a bit of an old lefty, so I imagine these are good old-fashioned communist Russians, but we'll see. And that's everything for this haul. Like I said, I've still got a bunch more. And I haven't even been to the paperback fair in London, which is next Sunday, a week tomorrow. So I will have at least one more haul, 2 probably, in the next couple of weeks. It's been a busy time. And as I mentioned in my wrap-up yesterday, I'm recording this on Saturday the 16th, I've basically run out of shelf space. I can double park books one in front of the other, but I don't like to do that because I like to see them. I have got one more wall over the top of the door and next to the door. It's not very big. I could probably get 5 or 6 shelves, which would be good enough for mass market paperback, that kind of size. So we'll have to see. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.